So now I'm going to talk about file handling. So what is file handling? File handling means that we can manipulate other files in our system or a directory to add a content inside it, to open that file, to fetch the data from that file. It can be any kind of file, whether it's a text file, whether it's an image file, video file, PDF file, or any kind of file. But I'll talk about the text files which I have just created. Make sure you create the file.txt in the same directory where your Python file exists. So I have nothing inside it. So first I'll show you that what are the different properties of files. Then I'll show you how you can open that file or read that file and update the content of that file. So let's come back to our first.py. So in order to open the file in Python, we have a function called open. So we can call an open, and inside it we need to provide 8 different parameters. So I will write file.txt, and that is the name of my file with the extension, and we can have multiple parameters after it. And the second parameter should be, we can write a w, and that is a mod. And the second parameter specify that in what format, in what mod we need to open that file. If we want to write something on that file, then we need to open that file in a w mod. W means write. If you want to read the content from that file, then we need to open this particular file in r mod. Okay, so first I'll just keep it as a one parameter, and I need to, when it open the file, I need to store the reference of that file in a variable. So I will give it my file. Alright, so now I need to print out few properties that I want to show you. So my file, and if I press dot, you can see that there are a bunch of other functions. We can call a closed function, we can call errors functions, we have a name function. So let's write a name, print my file. Next I want to print the mod. Next I want to print, let's say I want to check if our file has been closed or not. So let's run our file. So you can see that I opened this file and I am printing out different properties of that file. First I printed out the name of that file, which is right. Then I printed out the mod of my file, which is R. By default the mod of opening the file is R, means this file is read only. Okay, we can fetch out the content of that file. And the third one is the close. This is to check if the file has been closed after opening or not. And we must remember that whenever we modify and manipulate the files, we must close that file in order to avoid any kind of conflicts. So right now it is showing me false, means that I have opened the file and haven't closed that file. So after that I'm going to call a close function in order to close that open file. Now I'm going to print closed again to check if the file has been closed or not. So let's save this file and I'm going to run my file again. You can see that it printed false first because the file was opened and this is not closed. That's why it has printed false. And after that I closed the file, then I checked if it has been closed or not. It says true, means that our file has been successfully closed. So these are the properties. We can have multiple other properties. If you want to learn more about, you can check out Python documentation of file IO. Okay, so now let's keep this file open, and I'm going to change the default R mod to W mod, and W mod is used to read the content, to write the content in that file, and I'm going to write few text in that file. Okay, so I will use the same variable and I will use a write function, and inside it I will write something. Hello, this is my first IO program. Alright, so I've written content in that file. Now as I said, that make sure you close the file once we add the content. Okay, so let's save this file and I'm gonna run it. and we haven't printed anything inside it. But if I go to the file.txt, you can see that there is a text, hello comma, this is my first IO program, and we can add other contents in that file, and that should be a string or any kind of data, depends upon in which file format we are storing the data. Okay, and we can have a file in any other directory, and but we need to provide the correct directory right here, and this file was in the same directory, that's why I have written file.txt directly within the double quotes. Alright, so let's now try to fetch out the content from that file. I'm going to copy this one and paste it one more time. This is my second IO program, and rather than writing something, I need to change it back to read mode because I want to read the content of that file. So I need to update the write mode into a read mode by just replacing W to R. Alright, so in order to fetch the content from that file, we can, first of all, we need to write a variable, and that will contain the content that will be received from that file. So I will write variable, and after that I will call a read function. Okay, so inside the read function I need to specify that how many characters I need to fetch from that file. Okay, let's say I want to fetch out 10 characters. Okay, and after that I'm going to print out data. Alright, so if I go to my file, I think 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So these are the first 10 characters that needed to be printed from here. Okay, so make sure you save both the files, and if I run my file now, you can see that it has printed the characters, first 10 characters that was fetched out from that file using the OR mod. So this is how we can read the character from that file. Alright, so now next we need to specify that whenever we open any specific file, before closing it, our cursor remains at that specific position. Means that if we read the first 10 characters from that file, and this is where the 10th character exists, and after returning the data, our cursor will remain at the same position. Alright, let me show you that what do I mean by it. Data 2. Alright, and the first read function should fetch out the first 10 characters, and the cursor would remain at the same position, and the next read function should fetch out the 10 characters starting from the cursor. Okay, if the second read function return me the next 10 characters, then our statement is true. So we need to prove that. So let's print the data, and after that let's print the data too. Alright, so let's run our file, and you can see that our statement has been gotten true, and we have fetched out the first 10 characters, and after that we have fetched out the next 10 characters. So what if I want to bring my cursor back to the start once I read the file and the cursor gets to that position, and and I want my cursor to go back after the first read function to be called. So in Python we have a function called tell. I will store the position, and I will use the variable and dot, and I can call a tell function. Okay, I'm not specifying any parameter inside this function. Okay, and now if I run my file, you can see that it has printed the same output as it was previous. The reason is that this tell function is just going to give me the position of that specific cursor, where the cursor exists, and it was just to let you know that at what position the cursor exists. Actually I need to show you by printing out the position variable. So now I need to print that out again. So you can see that it has printed 10, means that after first read our cursor remained at the 10th position. And after that I'm going to my file dot seek, and I'm going to specify 0 and 0 again. And now if I run my file again, you can see that it printed 10 because after first read we fetched out the position of cursor and printed out the position, and our cursor was at 10th position. And after that we called the seek function, and in seek function we specify the two parameters that we want to bring our cursor at the 0th position. Okay, and it brought back our cursor to the 0th position, and when we call the read function again, it fetched out the data starting from the cursor. So it printed out the same character, means that this call brought our cursor back to the start. So this is how we can bring our cursor back to the start. Now let's talk about further more about file handling. Let's say I want to change the name of this file. Okay, and we can also change the name of that file using a module called OS. So I need to import OS module, and that is used to manipulate the directories of our system, files of our system, changing the permissions and names for our files and much more. Okay, so now I'm going to remove this a bunch of code, and let's say I want to change the name of this file. So in order to change the name of this file, I can simply write os dot rename, and I need to specify the path of my file. The file.txt still exists at the same directory, and in the next parameter I need to give it a new name. Make sure you don't change the extension. Alright, now if I run my file, there is an error, file dot line 6 permission error. The process can't access the file because it is being used by another process, file.txt and txt. Okay, so this is giving me an error that this file was being used by this process. So I'm going to remove this line. Okay, remove this line as well, and I'm going to run my file again. Okay, so now there is no error, but if I see my this project, and you can see that the name of file has been changed, file2.txt, and this OS module has changed the name. Previously this file was being used by open function, that's why there was giving a permission error, and now I'm not opening the file, so it's working pretty well. And the same as if I want to remove the file, I can just call remove, and inside it I can give the name of that file, but I'm not gonna do it because I need that file. Alright, so the last thing that I want to show you, what if I want to read the content of this file words by words, or a line by line, or a character by character. Okay, so I'm going to remove this one, and now I'm going to use with open file2.txt because we have changed the name of our file as my file. Alright, so now I have opened the file and stored the file reference in my file variable. Make sure you follow the same syntax as I'm using because I want to fetch out the characters one by one or the lines one by one. Okay, so now I need to use a for loop. This file contains the reference, and now I will use a variable L, specify the line number in my file, and inside this loop I can print out L. Alright, so let's run this file, and you can see it first printed this line for the first iteration, and let me add few more lines. Alright, now it should print all the content line by line. Okay, so now let's run it, and you can see that it fetched out all the content of that file line by line and printed out the files. Now if I want to fetch the character from that one line, I need to write another nested loop inside it. So I will write C in L. Okay, so I need to bring my print forward to bring it in the body of this for loop. Now this print is gonna print out the character from every line. So it's gonna give it a first line, and that first line is going to give the character, and as long as all the characters of that lines are complete, it's gonna printing out the characters in this print statement. Okay, so now let's run our file. So you can see that it has printed all the characters from all the lines. Hello right here, comma, and then this is my first program. Okay, and then it started out the next line when this loop ends. So this is how you can work with the file handling.